follow-up questions, so I will get us moving along. Great news. Here's the deck for today, and I will share my screen as we go through it, and then we'll keep it moving. So, hi everyone, my name is Juan Jose Gonzalez at Systems, and we've collaborated with all of you, so we're not going to spend too much time on introductions. I think everyone knows Heather, but why don't Heather and Megan, you introduce yourselves as well, just real quick.
Sure. My name is Megan Mitch. I'm the pathway manager at Systems Center. I've been with the organization for about 2 years now. So I'll turn it over to my colleague Heather to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Heather Penzak, Director of Innovation Implementation with Ed Systems. What does that mean? I do a lot in the work-based learning space. So very much here to be working with you all on an exciting opportunity through AMP-IT, but on kind of all things work-based learning as you need support throughout this process.
So our agenda for today, we're going to talk a little bit of welcome. I'm going to talk a little bit about the program overview. All of you, both of your school districts were participants in our pilot and our design pilot last year. So we're just going to talk about about this continuation grant and this continuation program. We're going to talk a little bit about Heather's going to talk a little bit about the Work-Based Learning Alliance and some opportunities for you all to kind of inherit some turnkey team-based challenges, some next steps in closing. As you guys know, we're gonna, because of the familiarity we have with you all, we're gonna kind of breeze through a little right here just to get through the information, but we do encourage you all to stop us often, ask questions in the chat box, and we have shared the deck in the chat. I will kind of reshare it, and we will also send along a recording for colleagues in your district as well, so thank you. Okay, so for those of you familiar with AMP-IT, but if not, just for all of us, is AMP-IT stands for Accelerated Model Pathways in IT. We partnered last year with District 214, Chicago Public Schools, and District 100, Belvedere, to kind of design or kind of think about what would it take to design high dosage amounts of pathways with lots or significant amounts of early college credit, specifically around IT pathways. Well, there was a lot of ideas last year, around 30 credit hours by high school graduation. But what we have settled on and what we advocated for to our national funder is that we should really be targeting something around 15 credit hours for high school graduates, with 6 of those credit hours in the IT space and the IT pathway. We also wanted to focus on work-based learning with some consistent high school level advising and kind of a transition to post-secondary that was smooth and robust. As you all know, the broad Illinois context is that we are a state that's implementing the college and career pathway endorsement. There is a statewide requirement that school districts start implementing by 2025 pathways in alignment with the college and career pathway endorsement, which includes 6 hours of early college credit and the work-based learning. In our state, many school districts have started this process. Many school districts have started to implement pathways, but those pathways are primarily in education, health science, and manufacturing. We at Ed Systems are seeing a little bit of a gap in IT pathways, and thus our AMP-IT project is a way to kind of jumpstart or accelerate those IT pathways as well. What we are going to be doing for this kind of 2-year grant, but our work with you all is primarily over 1 year. So we are looking to continue to partner with you all for 1 year, re-up kind of your grants amount. So for the fall of 2023, what we're basically looking to do is to enter into a services agreement, get into a data sharing agreement, similarly to what we've done with STAMP. We're having our first community of practice today, and we're going to be kind of releasing a survey of some feedback we want from you all about kind of projects of this AMP-IT participation. Well, we're looking for kind of deliverables from you all starting next spring and summer 2024. Essentially, if we have any additional community practice sessions that you attend those to kind of be represented, we're going to showcase the pathway course sequence that you all submitted last year as a part of this project. And we're asking that to see if you need to amend or adjust those given kind of the target of 15 credit hours and just given recent developments in your area around pathway courses. Now, because we are entering into a data sharing agreement, we're going to ask for kind of a data recording requirements. We would likely in kind of spring or summer of next year, just ask for counts of students that are in your IT pathways. And kind of, we're going to be looking for counts of those students of how many, which ones of them earn how many college credit hours. We're going to be just looking for aggregate data, number of credit hours, number of students, stuff like that. But we're also going to be entering into a data sharing agreement to kind of get individual student level data, and I'll explain why and how that will work in a little bit. So after 1 year of work, we do 1 year of funding for 2-year districts. You guys can use the funding however you want. We don't really have any particular restrictions on it. It comes from philanthropic sources, so it's very free and flexible. But we're then gonna, as a part of the data sharing agreement, ask for another data upload in the summer of 2025, but there won't be other responsibilities and requirements. It'll just be this 1 year worth of work and kind of community practice participation. For those of you who have not done so already, I think we've collected services agreements from both of your school districts. So all we're really missing is data sharing agreements. So Aaron and District 214, if you can kind of click on that data sharing agreement for your region and start the process of getting it signed either by LAS or some other kind of representative from your district. And for CPS, Sarah, what we took is we took the template of what we did in STAMP and we copied that over and just converted it to like AMPIT or to IT pathway information and made it even a little more streamlined. So is essentially what we would do is like say, tell our colleagues in CPS like, hey, we entered into these exact data sharing agreement last year. We want a similar one for this new kind of project as well. And we want to keep all those processes going.
Perfect. Yeah, the more alike they look and the precedents that we can claim like this has already been signed before, the faster it will go. So that's great. Thanks.
No problem. Yeah, I made John make sure to copy the example before he left, to copy that STAMP data agreement as well. All right. This is going to be our arc of engagement in this kind of project, right? So we're right now at the bottom, September 12th, the Community Practice 1, some housekeeping, the Work-Based Learning Alliance. There's going to be an optional participation. Our national funder is going to be doing a national conference, a community of practice in Boston, November 30th and 1st. Given that you all were prior participants at AMPIT, that opportunity is open to you all for if you want to attend, get some more technical expertise, best practices. They haven't really given us enough details about that participation, so I'm not including details on it here. Just flagging that a potential save the date, and I think the National Funder will be subsidizing travel and lodging at that event as well. In spring 2024, we're going to kind of follow up to make sure that you've amended kind of your pathway course sequence. As all of those pretty good. Some interim pathway reporting aggregates. And in the summer of 2024 and summer of 2025, we're looking for student level data uploads that we've done with you all in the past, similar to what we've done with STEP. Any questions? All right, that's good. One of the key definitions in our project here is as a result of our partnership last year, we defined 2 kind of AMPIT model pathway types, right? So the first kind of pathway type is called a tier 3 pathway, which is at the bottom of the screen, which is essentially that pathway that's in alignment with the college career pathway endorsement of 6 hours of early college credit, work-based learning, and kind of the college readiness in math and English. Our Illinois model pathway, which is a little more souped up, and also kind of the focus of this pathway is 15 credit hours overall, 6 of those in IT, and then the rest in general education, right? So this very much aligns for CPS to the broader Illinois, the Chicago model pathways version. And these kind of the tier 3 pathway at the bottom of your screen is a subset of, I'm sorry, let me repeat that. Tier 2 pathway is a subset of the larger tier 3 pathway as well, meaning more students will earn the tier 3 pathway, and then a smaller amount will earn the tier 2 pathway on your screen. But there's general alignment, and both of your districts are already implementing these kind of pathways already. I just wanted to clarify the definitions we have. Wanted to kind of set out some kind of a flag of reminders with y'all. This is something that we worked on last year, but how many students we aspire to achieve. The numbers here are an aggregate among 3 school districts. The other school district is District 100, who wasn't able to join us today. But what I wanted to kind of just give you guys a sense of your numbers in of kind of what your trajectory of pathway participation is already. So in CPS in 23-24, you are kind of projected already of 145 students in IT pathways. That means among all your CPS schools with CT programs or early college STEM schools, students that are at least earning 6 hours of early college credit is around 145. And we kind of are projecting to kind of continue that for the next 2 years. For District 214, those projected numbers were 87 for this year and 87 for the year after. I will kind of follow up and work with you about whether these numbers are holding steady or consistent, if we need to adjust those upwards or downwards. But this is all based on kind of where you ended last year for students earning 6 hours or more college credit. This at the moment is kind of what we registered and calculated for you all in terms of your pathway course map for Chicago Public Schools. You guys are very unique in that you are trying to implement over time 3 distinct IT pathways, one in programming, web development, and networking cybersecurity. These are kind of the courses that if you could implement fully, these would be the course sequences that would either align to or be in addition to your CTE coursework. From what I'm seeing, these are kind of integrated and embedded into your CTE coursework, but these courses are also available at your early college STEM schools in some capacity. There's also we also mapped out some of the math and English course sequences that are beyond CT, but they're just generally available in CPS school districts for Gen Ed, math, and English as well. And then, of course, this is the pathway for District 214 for kind of your networking pathway as well that you guys kind of registered last school year. We finished these maps in December of 2022, but we will kind of be following up with you to see if these needed adjustment or if you had new partners or new early college credit partners and things like that. Also wanted to kind of give you guys a quick refresher that as a part of our AMPED participation last year, there was kind of a target population for equity. For CPS, that was Black and Latino men. For Suburban Cook County, there was an emphasis on diverse learners, low-income students, and women. And for District 100, there was a focus on women. And just kind of, I think that these will remain consistent for you all. And this is something that we might ask in kind of your reporting requirements is like, all those students that are in your pathway sequence, how many of those are a part of your equity population? And if you need to adjust this equity target, please let us know. And we kind of will adjust those numbers as well, or adjust those target metrics. A little bit more about the data sharing agreement, just for those of you kind of becoming more familiar with our projects. So what we essentially want to do is we want to be able to kind of gauge whether students in an IT pathway continue in IT at the post-secondary level. So in order to do that, you guys are kind of a part of this model and this frame on the top left of the screen, District 1 and District 2. What you're essentially giving us access to is what the information that you already submit to ISB as part of the ISB's annual school report card collecting processes, right? So ISB collects data from school districts already. That school data actually happens to be housed at NIU through another department in our division, the Illinois kind of interactive report card. So what you're granting us access to is to say like, hey, can we access your data already housed at NIU's in ISB's data warehouse? And then we will kind of get demographic information from your pathway participants for their race, kind of students with disabilities, homelessness, things of that nature, and kind of keep an internal dashboard that is kind of secure and only available to Ed Systems and to you all, to your own district, about kind of student kind of demographic and breakdowns in the pathways. Over time, what we look to do then is kind of link that dashboard with the state's longitudinal data system, which will then get access to states to the Illinois Community College Board data and IBHE data. That data is similar to National Clearinghouse data, where it kind of tracks students at college enrollment, but it has the potential to be a little more robust in that we will then be able to access potentially students' major and course taking, so then we can get a sense of how many IT courses by zip code they're taking and what their potential major has been over time. So we can track what are the characteristics of students who persist from an IT pathway in high school into an IT pathway at the post-secondary level. Not just are they enrolled in college or not, which is already information that your district's already tracked and is tracked by the state. Any quick questions on that? this is something, this kind of data access agreement is something we've been piloting in our STAMP project, and we're actually going to be unveiling a dashboard for STAMP at this Thursday's meeting, community of practice meeting, where you can see how we break down some of that data, and we would be doing similarly for. This is a sample of kind of some of the student level data uploads. So you can get a sense of kind of what is the information we're going to be asking about, right? So there's some information that you are uploading as a school district, which includes the student's high school, kind of their student ID with state, their projected year of graduation, kind of the early college credit hours they've finished. But then we will then be accessing from the ISB student warehouse students' date of birth, gender, race, low income status, things of that nature, CTE classification, SAT composite score, things of that nature. And we're going to be using that to kind of create like a research design for trends and analyses as well. Very experimental, but very cool, and I'm kind of excited about it. So thank you all for your patience and your kind of willingness to partner with the data sharing agreements. Now I want to kick it off to a kind of unique opportunity for work-based learning. For those of you in CPS kind of looking for some team-based challenges, this is some opportunities for that as well. So I'll kick it over to Heather.
Thanks, Juan Jose. I saw there was one question in the chat about tracking student certifications.
Yeah, I can answer. Shannon, it can. In our STAMP data dashboard, we are tracking certifications. When we're mostly tracking is yes or no, did student earn a certification? But we will be collecting which certifications the student earned, and we can add that information to the dashboard, given feedback from you all as a district. So yes. Great.
Awesome. All right. So Work-Based Learning Alliance. I think CPS is pretty familiar with them. I know with 214, we might have talked about Practera at some point, right? This is their like foundation arm of that. And so they can do some more exciting things. And so really what's available through AMPIT is a cyber security experience project. If you want to go ahead and move forward. So there's a bit here of just background about Work-Based Learning Alliance. Again, they utilize the platform Practera for these experiences, but they themselves now as the Alliance do more than just host something through a platform, right? So they're a 501c3. They work with high school students really across the country. They're doing some really incredible work in Massachusetts, especially helping them realize their 100-hour requirement for internship experiences in high school, and have piloted some health science internships out in Arizona. So, you know, really focusing on not saying that, you know, all work-based learning is going to be virtual, right? But like, how do you have this additional tool in your toolbox? How do you really get it to scale? How do you address the needs of all students, and not really have just one type of model that you're doing for work-based learning, right? But you have a variety of things you're offering to best meet the needs of students. And so they have a bit of an approach here, right? They really much have a team who does all the things. So they, you know, they have the platform to host those virtual experiences, but they are very much structured. I think we all remember remote and quarantine and the lack of structure that was not helpful for students, right? And so while it is student driven, it is really high value, that authentic work experience, it is still modularized. There are still, you know, pulse points for the students to kind of check in how they're doing. There's also exact moments when they're going to be submitting a deliverable content to an industry mentor, right, to gather that feedback and get input on their project. So while it's student driven, it also is structured and modularized and all those things. They're industry aligned, right? They have industry mentors that they work with closely. This one came out of a larger partnership with IBM. I believe that was last school year. I'm trying to like remember my years sometimes. But so these are very much like employers saying, these are the questions, this is the kind of project that is of high value and would build those skills, both essential and technical within our industry. Again, very much quality assured, so you can capture a lot of really great data. Speaking of data, like we just were with your work-based learning, right? Like you can really track students' essential and technical competency development. You can track the engagement, the type of feedback, and students actually will rate their industry mentor on the type of feedback they gave them, whether they found it helpful or not, right? Things like that, that you can't always you can do qualitatively, but don't always have this kind of exact data there. So it's a cool dashboard feature of their approach. So again, I kind of spoken to, can look at here their impact, would encourage you to check out their site to see the other things they're up to, but they're doing a ton of stuff, right? And again, they're collecting data from students on whether they would even recommend participating to people in here. So it's very, very cool stuff. So here's really the opportunity. So in partnership with us, we've developed this paid cybersecurity project experience. And so there's two parts to it. The first part is a 6-hour IBM Skills Build Cybersecurity Fundamentals course. So again, kind of going through building up that background in cybersecurity to then prepare them to do a 3-week, 30-hour asynchronous virtual work-based learning project. So they'll work in teams, and they'll be doing that vulnerability assessment, researching and assessing those risk findings, and then they would present those recommendations in a virtual showcase. And you could bring on the partners to that. They do have industry professionals who they're able to work with for this. They have a set of IT kind of industry experts on hand. Can also talk about if there's somebody you'd love to engage with, an employer partner in this can talk about that. But they would get $450 for completing that 30-hour team project. And yeah, they'd get a credential, IBM Skills Build credential. But so here's where, when I talk through those modules, so you can start to see here, if you're looking at the frame of the experience, right? The onboarding, so they get a bit of, what does it mean to go through this platform, Practera? What are those employability skills that are aligned to our state's 10 essential employability skills, doing some self-reflection. But then you can see week 1, 2, 3, right? They have chunked out the project, right? So it is guided for them, but they really are engaging and driving the process for it. In the kind of lighter blue, you'll see some peer review, some other feedback moments. But that dark blue is where they really get that expert feedback before they move on to the next module and next deliverable.
We have a question, Heather,
Yep.
about is this only for the IT pathway?
Yeah, so it's not, we also have these opportunities, I would say right now, partnered with through STAMP for the manufacturing pathway, have been connecting with the STAMP team about that too. I will say that for CPS, especially, like Practera has gone through your processes, which is one of the bigger hurdles to go through sometimes. So, but they did it, so that's great. But yeah, so they have those, like right now for our sector-based things, we have this for manufacturing and for IT, but they're also able to do all the things, right? So I know there's some discussion of, building out like team-based challenge, like toolkit processes designed for your model pathways within CPS. So health sciences, right? They've done models in that with Arizona and other places. And so they could engage in those things as well. I know they've done stuff too with, Crete-Monee High School and their Educators Rising for their education pathway, and really putting in some cool things there for students to, for example, like watch a video and react to different classroom challenges that might happen that they might not always directly observe. But we know as teachers, we've seen in the classroom before, but you can't like guarantee something to happen while a student is observing, but you can really engage them in that and have mentor feedback to you. But yeah, love the comment too about integrating into the curriculum. I think where you can embed it. And if you even look at that, that badge that you would earn even before the project, I would assume there's a good chunk in that badge you might already be doing in your curriculum. So it's, it might be able to add on to that, complement it, all those things. And then I think there's, yeah. So again, had mentioned they really are turnkey. They have all the different pieces. Right. Once you start working with them, they will kind of handle those pieces. They have a team who will work with your students to onboard them, onboard the partners, kind of go through these processes. I know the one thing, and I do see your question, Bern, too, but I think it's on the next slide. The one thing I know that they need from you all is just like a literal point of contact who could physically go see the student. If for some reason they're like, hey, we've tried to get in contact with the student, they're not submitting things, like we do just need, there just needs to be like a point of contact through you all who could like find them in their classroom and be like, what's going on? You haven't done anything, right?
So I think the question is for this opportunity, is this one customizable or is this one I believe this one is turnkey and kind of like preset and pre-made based on kind of something they've done in the past? Or
Yep, this
how-
one for IT is a turnkey process. You know, I would say like through this opportunity and generally what I recommend with utilizing their models is to kind of, if they have one set up, to go through it, get yourself, get students, get partners kind of used to the experience. But then there's always room for conversation to say, okay, next year, what might we want to do a little bit differently, right? And I think the how long question generally with Work-Based Learning Alliance is, are you building something from like scratch with them, or are you taking one of their templates and customizing it to fit within your course? They have a lot of templates. So I would say generally you can start with their template and kind of put in some customized things there. But
Okay.
but yeah, I think the next slide was just about what they need
Mhm.
from you, right? Again, your role very much having that one person, right, who could be that point of contact for students, or maybe it's a couple depending, but just identifying those students who are going to participate and share them the materials, but they'll again do that orientation and Q&A and following up with students. But also you all to attend those student showcases, right? See what they were up to, invite others to see what they did. I think, you know, more and more, we all had a lot of like, I don't want to do anything virtual, like quarantine was really hard. And now we're understanding that like, there is this additional tool to have within your spectrum of offerings, while still
And I-
having some hands-on engagement too.
Yeah, what I like about this is Practera or Work-Based Learning, they recruit the employer, they are the employer of record, so they take care of the paperwork of paying and stipending the students. And also they recruit the employer mentors who kind of respond and react to the opportunities as well, right? So they are kind of packaging that all. I think what it seems like, given that your districts are multi-high school districts, this seems like an opportunity that you would take to a teacher at a high school who's always down for something like this, who's always down for like who's doing a cybersecurity course, whereas students are pretty innovative. And this would be a great opportunity for kind of that willing to experiment teacher or classroom in cybersecurity pathways or something similar.
Yes, I do want to note, so they have the employer for this experience, but that's not like the general case for them, right? So like in other ones like manufacturing that we might explore with you all, or other kind of sector-based ones, there is still like you all kind of determining that partner. It's just that for this one, because they built that out with IBM, they have some folks on staff who could do this project. So there is an interest form here. On the next one, there isn't like a crazy rush to get it back, but really just want to know. And so I can start connecting with Prue from Work-Based Learning Alliance, what you're thinking about for your estimated number of students, what you're thinking about in terms of timing, just to coordinate with them and any other sites through AMPED who might be participating in this. So I can drop that in the chat here in a moment, but do just want to flag too, as you're thinking about CCPE, this very much is a team-based challenge. There's also a case here, right? So these tend to all be team-based projects, but if you needed that to go towards some hours for your career development experience, doing these as like project-based 30-hour CDEs could also be beneficial there. But I think it's most beautifully used as a team-based challenge, but you really could do that project-based internship component too, if that's a gap within your work-based learning continuum. And appreciate you, Megan. Thanks for putting that chat in there. But also, you know, if you want to have more of a conversation with me offline or right now, or even get Prue and some of the Work-Based Learning Alliance team on to further thought partner, just reach out and we can find time to do that.
Some next steps in this project for you all. So we have a survey link here. We would love for you all to kind of respond to that survey link just to get a sense of kind of, have you adjusted your pathway courses, and are you kind of gauge your level of interest in the Work-Based Learning Alliance? I would say for District 214 and for your district CPS, you guys should determine like who should be the primary liaison, and only one person fill out that link. So I don't know if that's Sarah or Bernadette or Chandler, and for District 214, Aaron, if that's you or Marcella, kind of filling that out and kind of just choosing one submission, I think will get a sense of us. For the Work-Based Learning Alliance, we're offering this up. You are partnering with us once again, but we've also recruited 5 additional regions of the state for like 9 other districts to be a part of AMPIT, but they're like a new cohort. we have offered the Practera work-based learning, kind of team-based challenge opportunity to those districts as well. And we're gonna kind of be a little bit of first come, first serve, right? If your district is really willing to kind of reach out to a teacher and really get on this, definitely kind of fill out that information as soon as possible and let's get that moving. We hope to kind of launch that in the spring of 2024, or it could be used towards the summer as well. We're kind of flexible in that regards. So we just kind of wanted to flag if there was interest to move quickly on that. Some closing reflections, and just if folks have anything, kind of any questions about the AMP8 pathway or any kind of new information, some information that squares with your thinking. If not, I also wanted to flag in the slide deck, and this is optional for you all to review. This is mostly a partnership that we're doing for our new cohorts. We're offering a subsidy to folks to participate in the kind of University of Illinois computer science teacher endorsement training. From what I heard from kind of U of I and DPI, that you guys, CPS and District 214 already have a partnership with them to subsidize teachers in this regard. So I'm kind of including this in the appendix of our presentation, but just kind of want to let you guys know that if you had additional teachers or short and kind of want to take advantage of this opportunity, you could. But from my understanding, you guys are really well set up in that regards. If nothing else, I think that's it from our end. Welcome kind of any feedback or questions from folks. And I know there were some questions about the use of AMP8 funds from CPS. So Heather, Megan, and myself can stick around for that as well. If not, I really appreciate you all's time. All right.
Yeah, we just had a quick or a couple of questions.